Ito po yung lingkod, Ado Paglinawan, nagpupugay ng isang magandang hapon sa inyo lahat sa mamparte ng mundo kayo naroroon. Ito naman po isang episode ng Iparas Mo Kay Paras. At Secretary.
Magandang hapon mga kababayan, magandang hapon sa lahat nating mga mahal na mga kababayan na naghirap pa rin sa kanilang buhay-buhay dahil sa kablustugan ng pagpapatakbo ng ating gobyerno ngayon. Napakamahal ng bigas, nasa 60, 70, tapos corruption pa, smuggling pa, all in the name of Marcos government. Ito po, mayroon naman, maski hindi ito importante para sa taong bayan dahil sa survey, only 6% are interested in the South China Sea issue. Pero tuloy-tuloy pa rin na pinopropagate ni Marcos yung idea na gigiitin nila ang mga Chinese para magkaroon ng manifestation daw na mahal nila ang Pilipinas at they are protecting the interests of the Filipino people and never an inch of a land na mapunta sa China.
Ang problema dito, Secretary, para bang naapektuhan ang ating ekonomiya. At meron pa nga mga nagmamarunong dyan tungkol sa ating foreign trade at sa export ng Pilipinas. No?
At kamakailan lang na sinabi natin dito sa ating programa na tila si Marcos magmula noong pumunta siya sa China at pagbalik niya nakapunta sa Amerika, nagbago na yung kanyang outlook. Nagiging puppet na siya ng Amerika. At may mga usap-usapan na mayroong baka nagkasuhulan di umano. Kasi may lumabas sa isang newspaper or magazine, yung Asian Times, na parang nagkabayaran daw ng 61 billion.
Parang sauli sa kanya.
Isa sa uli.
Ng Amerika, yung hawak nilang tagong yaman ni Marcos Sr. worth 61 billion US dollars.
At tila may katotohanan in the sense that there is a clear manifestation now na nagbago na ang ihip ng hangin. Imbis sa panahon ni President Duterte, nagiging very friendly ang relasyon with China at ngayon ay very hostile na ang relasyon ng Pilipinas at China at parang ginagatungan na tayo ng Amerikano, nagdagdag pa ng mga EDCA bases. Tapos ngayon, kamakailan lang nagiging ahente pa si Marcos, mga kababayan, sa mga iba-ibang bansa para isulong ang kapakanan ng Amerika. Hinihikayat ni Marcos na magiging kaibigan sa Germany, sa Czech Republic, sa Australia, na magsama-sama itong mga bansa na ito against, in favor of the United States and the Philippine Alliance as against China. Pero nagbunga ba ito? Tulad ng pagpunta ni Marcos, ano bang mga daldalan ni Aldanese at ni Marcos doon sa Australia, paring Ado?
Well, nagpirmahan sila roon ng isang maritime security cooperation.
Okay.
At ibang mga aspeto tungkol sa pagpapalit ng mga kalakal, no? At yon ang kanyang kinapitalize para yung rhetorics, no? Ng Chinese aggression and provocation kuno sa South China Sea ay humingi siya ng tulong sa Australia.
At yung ba ay nagbunga? At mukhang sinasakyan lang siya ng Australia at parang oo lang ang Australia dahil itong bagong nating natuklasan ngayon ay mukhang yung Chinese official pumunta sa Australia at mukhang nagkakasundo ang Australia at parang lumalabas na underdog ang Australia sa China. Ito, pakinggan natin po itong balita na ito.
China visits sees 105 billion iron ore exports on the brink.
Oh.
China is sending its foreign minister to Australia, insisting that win-win cooperation is the right choice. But at the same time, it's emphasizing a desire to end Australia's biggest win, 105 billion worth of iron ore exports. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi arrives in Canberra nung kinabukasan noon for trade talks aimed at resolving the remaining trade tariffs imposed on some Australian exports in retaliation for the former Morrison government calling for an investigation into the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic. He will meet with Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, his Australian counterpart, Senator Penny Wong, and former Prime Minister and outspoken Beijing advocate Paul Keating.
Dito po, nagpapakita na mukhang maonsame itong 105 billion worth of export ng iron ore. Alam mo, mga kababayan, itong Australia is a mining country. Most of its economic gains come from mining. Itong BHP, Benetton, as one of the biggest ore at saka gold.
Tsaka sa nickel ore, silang dalawa ng Indonesia may pinakamalaking stock in the world.
Yes, and it seems that China is saying that pagka luloko-loko kayo, mawawalan kayo ng 105 billion and thereafter ng export ng inyong ore sa China. Kasi sinasabi, mukhang ang China is little by little trying to establish supply of mining products. Ore is one, nickel is one. So, mawawalan ang Australia. Alam mo kasi, hindi naman gera yan eh. Ito, economic war eh. Kaya nga may tinatawag na economic sanction eh. Kaya, ang isang bansa ay napapahina or napapalambot ang kanilang makikipaggera pagka yung ekonomiya na nila ang naapektuhan.
Bigyan natin ng kapirasong background ito.
Okay.
Alam niyo po kasi mga kabansa, nung termino noong si Morrison, yung dating Prime Minister ng Australia, ay nagpahayag si Morrison na paimbestigahan niya ang China as being the source, origin of COVID-19 virus, So, nag-react doon ng China at impose ng sanction sa maraming produkto ng Australia. Kasama na dyan ng alak, kasama na dyan ng beef, kasama na dyan ng sheep, kasama na dyan ng barley, at pati itong mga mineral ore ay involved. Kaya habang, itong implikasyon sa Pilipinas, Secretary, habang lumiliit yung import ng China ng nickel ore specifically from Australia, tumaas ang export natin to 1.3 billion US dollars sa nickel ore. Ngayon, itong trip ni Foreign Minister Wang Yi doon ay nagtatagpi-tagpi na dahil bago na ang Prime Minister, si Albanese na. And Albanese is medyo conciliatory to China. So sila ngayon nag-uusap kung paano yung mga tariffs ay ibababa ulit at yung sanction ay mawawala na parang yung mga produkto. At ito ay sinimula nila sa pagbubukas ng wine. Libre na uli na ang export ng Australian wine sa China. Kaya doon. At ang timing, mga kabasa, ng visit ni Wang Yi ay right after the visit of Bobo Marcos Ayun.
Yeah, but more than that, itong iron ore ay napakalaki ang export ng Australia to China.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And this is really the reason na kung gagalaw ang Australia at susunod-sunod doon sa mga pagka-ahente ni Marcos
Ay, no.
na magiging ally dito sa gigirahin ng Amerika, ng Japan at ng Pilipinas ang China, sinong unang mapinsala? Ang Australia. Dahil mawawalan sila ng napakalaki-laki nilang economic exports into China. So in other words, ito lahat ng mga paikot-ikot ni Marcos ay walang katorya-torya. Nagsasayang lang talaga ng pera. Unang-una, ang economic relationship ng Australia at China napakalaki. What is the economic relationship between the Philippines and Australia? May pakinabang ba ang Australia sa Pilipinas na napakalaki? Kaya nga yung sinasabing mga pledges ng Australia to the Philippines, kung isipin natin uli yung sinasabi ni Ginang Carlos, Secretary Clarita Carlos, sinasabi niya, ay wala yung mga pledges na yan. Puro lang yan mga haka-haka. Magiging bato lang yan at the end of the day. So, ito po, sinasabi lang natin at the hindsight na sayang lang yung pera na ginastos ng ating bansa papunta-punta ng Australia. Lalo na, ininsulto pa tayo ni Ferguson. Sarah Ferguson.
ABC Australia.
Oo. Inungkat patuloy yung mga pagnanakaw ng mga Marcos noong martial law. Inungkat patuloy ang mga plunderer ni Marcos noong martial law. At tinatanong niya ang anak ngayon na, have you taken remorse for what your father did? Saboy naman ni Marcos, mali yung mga, nagbigay daw sila ng blanket authority, ng quit claim. Paano naman naging, ano pala yung mga kinita ng mga leftist na binabayad as reward or award? Kadami-daming mga millions of dollars which were paid to the victims of martial law. Pwede mo bang ipagsinungaling yan, mga kababayan? So, yun po, mga kababayan, ang natin. Ito, after Australia, ito naman, yung China, pumupunta naman ngayon sa mga ibang countries, sinusundan si Marcos. Ngayon sa New Zealand naman, ito, pagkapasahin natin.
China's foreign minister meets New Zealand counterpart beginning trip that also includes Australia. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi said Monday that his country is ready to work with the New Zealand to deepen trade and economic ties and address climate change. Wang met his New Zealand counterpart Winston Peters at the start of a tour that will also include Australia. China is willing to hold talks on reducing barriers to investment in the service sector at an early time and build new drivers of economic growth with New Zealand in the digital economy and through technological innovation, Wang said, according to a statement from the Chinese Foreign Ministry. Well, pursuant to the desire of China to normalize relations with Australia, sinama na niya yung New Zealand. Kumbaga, nag-double book na ang China kasi baka mamaya mag-travel na naman si Bongbong Marcos sa New Zealand. So, sinil na niya yung backdoor. And the signal, kasi ang pagdating sa beef, mga kabansa, New Zealand is very vulnerable also. So, warming up ang China doon sa down under. Yan ho ang sumatotal ng business. At
So, ang bottom line is, bakit pa kasi tayo nakikialam dito sa conflict ng Amerika at China? At soon enough, nag-umpisa na itong friendship ng China at United States doon sa APEC, doon sa San Francisco.
Tama.
They had come up with a bilateral agreement
Early this year.
For military, relation. So, habang nandyan yan, itong mga alipores din ng Amerika, ina-agitate din ang Pilipinas. Ha? Pero at the end of the day, ano ba ang mangyari sa atin? Kung totoo ba talagang gigirahin tayo ng China? Tutulong ba talaga ang Amerika sa atin? Now that ito pa, mas matindi pa ang mangyayari nito. Kasi the development now in the United States is there is a big possibility that Biden will be trounced by Trump. At itong Blinken, bata ni Biden ito Ito yung ikot ng ikot at dinadala si Marcos kay Biden. That is only up to November. Kasi
hindi na si Biden.
Sa survey ngayon, ang taas-taas ng survey against Biden in favor of Trump. And remember, Trump and Duterte are good friends. Itong mga kaliwete, itong mga dilawan, mga grupo nila Obama yan Yun ang humihimok kay President Duterte dati. But when Trump came, Duterte and Trump became good friends. So if there will be changes by October or November sa election, ano itong efforts ni Marcos, pare? What will happen to all the efforts of Marcos being the puppet, the agent of America? Magbabago lahat yan when Trump wins.
Pero parang nahalata na niya dahil tumataas ang criticism sa mga travel niya. At saka meron siya sinasabi dito na hindi naman daw niya pinopromote ang interes ng US kundi ang interes ng Pilipinas.
Ano naman?
Ito,
it's pretty obvious. But ngayon pupunta na naman nga sa ito. He's now going to Washington. Iniimbita ni Blinken to meet with the counterpart of the Japanese government and Biden. Ito.
Marcos to fly to Washington, D.C. in April for U.S.-Japan-Philippine Trilateral Summit. Less than a year since his last visit. Wala pa isang taon. President Marcos Jr. will return to the U.S. capital for the first trilateral summit between the Philippines, United States, and Japan next month. A press release from the Department of Foreign Affairs released by the Presidential Communication Office on Tuesday, March 19, confirmed that Marcos will leave Manila on April 11. There, he will hold talks with U.S. President Joe Biden and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida.
Maglulustay na naman uli ng pera para lang pupunta sa Amerika. Ano ba namang significance? Bakit? Ano ba? Will that be beneficial economically to the country? Bababa ba ang bigas? Bibigyan ba tayo ng subsidy ng Amerika na mapababa ang ating mga commodities para matulungan ang mga mahihirap? Ano bang significance? Lalo pang mabawasan ang pera at mangungutang pa tayo dahil gagastos na naman ulit.
Pero meron silang tinatago dito. Dahil sa April 28, mga kabansa, 2024, mag-e-expire ang Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, yung EDCA, na ngayon ay hindi lamang 5 bases, dinagdagan pa ng 4. Ang suspect ko dito, gagamitin nila itong trilateral meeting na ito para
I-extend.
magkapirmahan doon. Pero hindi nila sinasabi, they're not being transparent to the Filipino people. Ha? Kaya itong meeting na ito, ang tawag ko dito, US, Japan, Philippines. No? USA, Yakuza, Takusa. Takot sa USA, takot sa asawa.
Well, kidding aside,
Oh.
mayroon dito, ang Diyos talaga, baka hindi daw matuloy. Kasi may COVID. May COVID daw yung mag-asawa. Ito. Tingnan natin kung baka hindi daw matuloy. Baka lalala ang sakit.
Yan. PBBM, First Lady, developed flu-like symptoms.
Yan. Basahin natin yan.
President Marcos and First Lady Liza Marcos have developed flu-like symptoms and have been advised by their attending physician to get some rest. Tignan mo, lagi nakasingit yung Presidential Communication Office announced.
No.
Sumasama sila rin sa press release. Hindi dapat yan eh. Anyway, in a statement on Wednesday evening, March 20, the PCO, naman sila na naman, to si Garapal, the first couple's vitals, mali pa yung English, the first couple's vitals have been taking their medicine and are in stable condition. Following their full schedule, these last few days, the President and the First Lady developed flu-like symptoms.
Okay. Baka lalala yan. At the Filipino people will save money. God is just. Ika nga eh.
On the other hand, merong parallel
sinasabi ko sa inyo, mayroong parallel, kung may flu-like symptom, ito rin naman mental fitness naman ni Biden. Ito pag panoorin natin itong parehong dalawa. Yung isa, well, of course, may question na about mental fitness si BBM. Si Biden walang ganun, pero ngayon because of old age na-develop na rin, so they're now in equal footing. So baka anong sarswela sila sa sa United States. So ito, pakinggan natin
bangag
ito
din ba si Biden?
Harriet Higman.
One of the quotes that the White House Democrats took issue with was that President Biden was described as a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. This has been in headlines for the past month now. What do you make of that characterization?
So I think one of the things that happens in Washington, D.C. is that we can oftentimes live in an alternate universe. And because there is so much politics that goes on with how we're handling witnesses or questioning, that I think there are some people who forget that there are real people out in the normal everyday world that have eyes and ears and can make observations. The thing about what her found in relation to Joe Biden isn't a surprise to anybody who has watched Joe Biden over the last 5, 6, 10 years. Joe Biden is suffering from dementia. What he found in his report was not a surprise to anybody who has watched him as he's tried to answer questions, as he has tried to wander around stages, as he has tried to get on air to get into an airplane. I mean, it's funny to me that the Democrats are trying to say, please don't believe your lying eyes. Joe Biden is just as robust and he's ready to go and he's as good as he's always been. Well, no, he's not. He's suffering from dementia. And the fact that he presented that well to Mr. Hur isn't a surprise to me. It isn't a surprise to anybody in Wyoming. It's most likely not a surprise to anybody in Nebraska or New Mexico or California or anywhere else. We can see he's suffering from those problems. The guy is suffering from pretty severe dementia. And he is very forgetful. So then the question is, if he is too incompetent to stand trial, then why in the world are we allowing him to run the country? Is he too incompetent to stand trial or to run the country? And I think that's the question that has got the Democrats so incredibly scared, because I can assure you that everybody in Wyoming says, yeah, I can understand why Herb would find that he's a well-meaning old man who doesn't really have much of a memory anymore. Why are we letting him run the country? I think that that is a very legitimate response for the vast majority of people in this country.
That's just a bird's eye view of what lies ahead in November. Because more and more Americans, as per our reading, are distancing themselves. Even Democrats. A lot of Democrats are distancing themselves now from Biden and are trying to persuade others to choose another candidate. But of course, Biden is insistent. So as of now, it's per the latest survey, it's Trump leading Biden. So that will have reverberating effect come November for the Philippine foreign policy. What will now happen to Marcos? Kasi magbabago yung outlook ng for all we know, Biden will be more friendly to China as he did with North Korea. Pare? No. So, we don't know. Kaya, sayang lang lahat itong
Iba na ho ang presidente
pagbubuluntir nitong si Marcos na utusan ni Biden na papuntang Germany para kakalap yung suporta para sa anti-Chinese alliance, puntang Czech Republic. O ito na naman, sasanto na naman siya kay Biden at the expense of the Filipino people. Lulustayin na naman ng gusto ang pera natin, mga kababayan.
Pero kung ako, itong pag-renew ng EDCA, isasantabi ko muna ito dahil baka iba na ang presidente ng Amerika by January. Kasi November ang eleksyon nila. And January ang takeover.
And for all we know,
2025.
A Trump presidency may have new dimensions in terms of Chinese relation.
So, dahil nadala si Trump ang nag-trade war dyan, nadala siya. Baka hindi natin alam dahil bago ang timpla. And sa mga susunod na episode, bibigyan ko kayo, by the way, Secretary, nakakuha ko ng mga listahan ng daan-daang mga kumpanya sa Amerika na nagbabawas ng mga branches, nagsasara ng mga outlets. At yan promise ko sa inyo yan, Utang ko sa inyo yan. We will update your information on that.
Okay, so that ends up our episode for today.
Okay, huwag niyo pong kalimutan mag-subscribe sa Iparas kay Paras at sa aking YouTube na at Ado Paglinawan.
Iparas kay Paras. Subscribe.